Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Pitch Please, the podcast where people who play games pitch ideas to people who make them. This week, as always, Tom and Chris are with me.
Hello.
Oh my God.
I just went straight into that one, didn't I? You weren't expecting that.
Chris, you've been promoted.
I've been remembered.
Chris.
You're in the intro now.
On top of the usuals, obviously we have an extra dev. That dev is Alistair.
Hello. I'm back.
Hi, Alistair.
Hello. From quarantine.
He's back. It's been a while, it's been a while since we spoke to you. I can't remember the last one that you were in, but
was it Human Crossing? Because if so, I can understand why you took some time out.
That was months ago. You just left after that.
No.
Mate, were you there for were you there for Booths?
No, I wasn't.
Don't Play Nasty Warriors.
It's been months.
It's been a long time.
Very long time.
Well,
it's nice to be back.
And finally, continuing our role of very special guests, with us this week is the Spiffing Brits.
Hello.
Oh, it's a very lovely little clap you did there, Chris.
That was a lovely
Spiffing Brit,
clap.
Spiff. Do you have a preference on your name?
I prefer to go by Tom, but ever since joining the Yogscast, I've realised that's no longer viable. So just Spiff works.
Well,
the last time we had another Tom.
Yeah.
Well, the last time we had another Tom, I was immediately demoted down to Ace Thunderclap. Was that my name?
Yeah, Ace Thunderclap. So that's fine. We can do that again.
Yeah,
you're aced for this.
Can we call it Ace
podcast.
Thunderclap Thighs? Maybe, I don't know. How thick are
Well,
they?
no, it was Ace. It was Ace, and then you have to make the noise of a thunderclap. So my name was Ace.
Yeah.
I remember that we did waste a good minute talking about that last time. Let's not do that again.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've just done it. We've just repeated that.
All right. Well, I'm Ace.
Fantastic.
Ace.
All right. And this week, again, we've had kind of like some pretty crazy ideas recently. And I feel like a lot of the guests that we have in, not to their detriment because they've been fantastic ideas, but they've been very, they've
Slacking them off.
Go on.
No, I'm not slacking them off. They've not really been thinking so much about the game
They've been
as
shit,
they have about
Alex,
the
just
ideas. They've been terrible. They've been abysmal. No, they haven't. They've been really good. Like, they've been fantastic, but they've been very large in scope in a way that is more focused on kind of the flashiness of it and more of sometimes more narrative and stuff. But then we've had like less kind of actual game stuff in recently. Would you agree?
Okay.
And I feel like Tom is the perfect antidote to that.
Yeah, no
possibly.
pressure.
Yes. Okay. Oh shit. Right.
But let's see. Yeah, please give us your idea. What are you thinking?
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I love games. I love games. I love all games. And this is why you should vote and create my game idea for me. I won't pay you for it, but someone has to do it because it's the best game idea in the world. Okay, when you look back in history and think, what was the best game ever invented? I know it's on, all of you have the same idea. It's on the tip of your tongue. You're about to say it. 3, 2, 1. Of course, it's Transport Tycoon Deluxe. You're right.
Tycoon Deluxe.
It's Transport Tycoon Deluxe.
That's what I was thinking. Love that game.
Exactly. All of you love it, but you probably haven't played it recently because, it's... Ever. Okay, I don't want to be part of this podcast anymore. Ace, you've been demoted.
Could you just in case people listening to? I mean, obviously, all of us have played thousands of hours.
I was joking. I was being sarcastic.
Just in case some like crazy person who listening to this may not have played it. Could you
the two do go hand in hand?
Yes. So anyone who is uncultured enough to have never played Transport Tycoon Deluxe will not know this game. But basically, how it goes is you are in charge of a transport tycoon company, and your job is to quite simply set up bus routes, train routes, airplane routes, bus routes. I just said that again. Boat routes, and just move goods from point A to point B, producing goods and then selling them. And you get paid for moving goods to places, and you can build more routes, and you can fight against friends and so on. And
it's online as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's got really good multiplayer, and honestly, it still holds up really well today, especially considering it's free. So it's a really solid game.
Cool. So then we don't really need to... We just...
No, let's all just go by open...
Well, no, he's describing that game, Alistair. Let him...
Okay, it's good. It's the best game ever. But what if I told you the best game ever could get betterer? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for it? We're bringing... Transport Tycoon to the 2020, probably 2027 by the time this actually gets released.
Good, yeah.
Okay, so what if we took the best elements of Transport Tycoon Deluxe and paired them with the fantastic elements of Euro Truck Simulator 2, the second best game in existence.
Oh my god! Okay,
I'm fucking sold.
Okay,
but you also make it an MMO. It doesn't necessarily have to be a massive MMO, but just like at least servers of a couple of hundred people, all with a transport company where you start out literally renting trucks to go from point A to point B, and then a couple of years down the line, after grinding up your truck company, you can hire a couple of mates, buy trucks for them, buy trains for them, lay down the train lines, get your boats going, airplanes. You can basically have Microsoft Flight Sim paired with a bunch of shitty boat simulators, because everyone hates boats, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then train people will love it. You can flog train DLC to them if you want as well. Because
holy shit,
train
the money.
people love DLC. They absolutely fucking love it. And then you've got truck drivers, they love DLC too. I'm just saying, this game, it's not only profitable, but it's also the best game ever.
Okay.
So it's
I have several points.
Every simulator game ever made combined into one, right?
It's every simulator combined into one overarching tycoon experience. So it has the ability to be the best simulator and the best tycoon game. Probably it's going to be a decent simulator and a fun tycoon game, but after a couple of years of DLC and polish, the good old Paradox Interactive way, it will be a great game.
It'll be a subpar
That's good. It's important to be
with
realistic.
Everything.
Okay,
I feel like what you've created here is.
Oh, sorry, Alex. So you go on. You go on.
No.
Are you sure? Because
it's
just
go
about
for
to
it.
pop off.
This isn't awkward at all.
That's my catchphrase. Has always been.
Oh my god.
So you've got the Euro Truck Sim bits, and you've got the sort of the top-down planning sort of route bits. Now, what if you also had to do the factories? We add in satisfactory factorial elements. So we have every level, right?
Okay.
Right. Okay.
And then for some sort of way that we can really milk our players dry of money, we sell them separately, right? But they're all interconnected.
Whoa.
That's like the Star Citizen experience, where you sell the FPS element separately.
Right? You can take out a fake mortgage on a factory. Perfect. And then
I'm very wary of any pitch that includes Star Citizen as a comparison.
They're a profitable company, Alex. That's all that matters.
Was the bit that threw you on that.
I mean, I guess true.
It won't be the game of 2027, will it, if it's Star Citizen?
Yeah, we need to be what I said at the beginning of this, just before you started giving your pitch, I think I'm maybe going to retract that. I feel like what you've done, my immediate thought about this was that what you've done is you've basically created the transport version of Wheelwright's Spore, where you start off as like this.
Right.
Look at my beautiful
this
trucks.
tiny thing to the.
Well, I was thinking we could also, go even further back. I mean, you've got the factories, right, Chris? And there's the driving the trucks and stuff. There is already a tank construction simulator, right? And there's also car simulator, things like that. Maybe trucks break down. And, you have to then have people who own the truck repair simulator DLC to then come in and fix your car. The AA simulator.
It's like, do you know, is it 2012 SimCity? Do you know where all your cities are interconnected? So you can buy things from, like, say I haven't got enough oil,
other cities,
I can import it if I want, or I can export excess. Maybe you control, that's how we do the MMO aspect of it, right? So you'll have your chunk, and then you can export and import stuff from other players.
Yeah.
But within your chunk, you control it.
Okay, I like this idea.
Alistair's shaking his head in disbelief.
I like this idea.
You can't believe what is being discussed here.
I'm going to throw in a curveball because I love the depth. I love the idea of building these factories. But here's how I think we make it more appealable to the average gamer. You make it so that whilst you can build a factory and whilst you can do car mechanic simulator, alternatively, you can automate it. So you can go for a prefab factory. You don't need to build one. Or there's existing factories on the map that you don't need to worry about. And when your cars break down, you can just, wait 2 minutes for them to be repaired, or you can do it yourself a little bit quicker. But what I think ultimately is what makes this so special and adds to the MMO category. I like the idea of the instant cities, but what if it was just one great big map of the UK, 1-to-1 scale, okay? And people can have factories, okay? They're just factories set up, and you need to buy goods from that factory and then move them to where they need to go.
Wait, 1-to-1 scale?
1-to-1 scale.
So it takes Like 3 hours to drive from Bristol to London.
Yes.
For example.
Yes. Or you hire an AI worker or a friend of yours who can join your transport tycoon company or guild to do that for you. And you can pay them a set wage.
No AI. I think
there
if you own a company,
even farming sim has AI.
No. I don't think there should be. I think every single employee in your company should be a player.
The reason why the AI
players.
This is the Germans will love this.
Him, Tom.
Exactly.
Ace, stop.
So the reason that AI works is because you have to pay money, right? So you hire an AI character to do it for you, but you could keep that money, do it yourself. So it's the, do I want to waste the time or do I want to spend the money?
No, you pay money to get another player to do it, and they get the money.
But they would just do theirs. They want to do like.
This is starting to sound like the other idea, the depressing life simulator.
Human crossing.
Trying to make every life better.
Alistair, think of the sheer amount of graphs.
There could be a lot of graphs in there.
There could be a lot of graphs. I feel like we need a nice way of showing these. And if it's set in the year 2027, obviously we're going to have very advanced ways.
No, it's not set in the year.
Okay, look. Before it goes too far, maybe we should just. I'm not saying it shouldn't. I'm not saying it shouldn't have all these elements in. I'm not saying it shouldn't be 1-to-1 scale of the UK and every sim ever is in there. But maybe we should just focus on one element of that for now and see how we can work out on that. So, like, what to you, Tom, is the most important sim that you would want to get in there? Is it the Euro Truck Sim? That's the
okay. So the most important sim to get in there is the effective management sim of moving goods from point A to point B. That is the overarching thing because it's the base of the economy. So it's the most important feature.
Okay.
You need to kind of like simulate this entire UK economy so that players can come in and assist it and grow, and the organic growth caused by the players forces more demand so that basically the players can keep this thing going rather than there being a limited set of supply and demand which players are fighting over. There's always going to be like a limited set of supply and demand, and so somehow that's going to have to be balanced so that new players aren't just going to found their company and then just be overtaken by Lord Mega Elon Musk truck destroyer with 69. Like a fleet of 70 trucks. Yeah, just
or
all
as
electric
most people on
trucks.
YouTube know him, Spiffing Brit.
Or Spiff, yes. Oh god, I do actually have a couple of exploits.
I like the idea of the economy side of things because that's that close to my heart with the EVE Online.
I was going to say EVE Online. Doesn't that have mega companies that you can build and also this employee structure where people work their way up through the company? I don't really know much about EVE, but
Alistair, give us the short the short EVE pitch. What is EVE Online in a paragraph?
EVE Online is a game that I can't play but will sit and play.
That doesn't help anyone understand what the game is.
That sounds like a very
personalised it's a space simulation game with spreadsheets.
You tried to make a plugin, didn't you?
I did make a plugin. Yeah.
What was it?
It would scan the market and find the lowest
what
price.
What is EVE
commodity.
Online?
Well, it's an online.
Are you flying around?
Yeah, you can fly around space. You can land in stations and you can trade stuff and kill people.
So is it mostly trading, or is there like there are combat elements and stuff to it? There's definitely combat, right?
Yeah. It's probably more.
I remember hearing stories about people. Maybe this could be the thing, and like you know how you get like stories of people who had infiltrated these large companies for like 5 years to become the right hand man, only to do a heel turn at the last second.
Man, so
and,
you've got
unload their vault for millions of dollars worth of currency.
You know, this truck, from this one company from a different player, is carrying like this really important set of cargo to make them a ton of money.
It's gold bullion.
You hire like 5 trucks to block the path,
and kind of like OpenTTD on like the governing scale. In like cities, you could hire road repair, and that basically the local council just tear up all the roads and cause a bunch of traffic chaos. So yeah, you've got like these trucks transporting key goods, and what you do is you just pay for a bunch of traffic to be there. Like you sabotage the lights or something, and then the truck with the gold bullion sat in a traffic jam on the M6 for the next 2 hours,
and then it turned into Rainbow Six Siege, where you can rob the truck.
Chris, stop it.
Exactly. We've got it. We've got to add a piracy aspect as well, so you can
Sid Meier's Pirates was kind of a simulation game.
Exactly.
My actual idea was going to be with the whole economy side of things. You could have events that occur where, say, like that increase your supply and demand. Like look at one recently with toilet paper, right?
Yep.
So say if something happens and you're like your number one toilet paper brand, your Hazel's Toilet Paper Co., right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, no shops have toilet. You have to increase your spending on sending out drivers, but you can't keep up production, so you're going to have to expand your business. So it sort of forces you to it's adapt or survive. It's a dog eat dog world, the toilet paper industry. But that means that we also need to bring in the raw materials. But Gary's Toilet Paper Raw Materials Co. He's not very inventive. He's also struggling because he has multiple people he needs to distribute to. So now there's a bidding war going on.
Oh yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
Think of the graphs.
Alistair's face looks like Duncan Bannatyne in Dragon's Den when he's being pitched like the idea of a new Facebook by a cat. Or something like an animal has wandered in.
Yeah, I love that episode.
How much
My name's Craig, and I've come up with this brilliant new revolutionary idea. I call it Bookface. It's where you can meet your mates online and talk to grandma.
But it's
like virtual for donors. It's virtual pub on phone.
Now I'm got to lick ass.
It's called Facebook, and what we do.
But so the two ideas we have in there so far is like the economy sim, but then and then also I guess like the Euro Truck aspect of it, where are you still envisioning, Tom? You're starting your life in the world like with the actual job of physically having to get in the vehicle, drive your goods from point A to point B.
You kind of start out, I'm kind of envisioning this, you start out similar to you do in Euro Truck games, which is that you are a individual person and the only way you can make money is to take contracts as a driver. You don't even own your own truck. You are being paid to sit in a truck provided by the company to move goods from point A to point B. And then once you've made enough money, you can then take out a loan to buy your own truck. And then suddenly, because you're not having to borrow trucks from these companies, you get a slightly better margin for the goods. But at the same time, you now have to fuel that truck. You have to also keep that truck repaired and so on. And then once you make enough money from that in your truck, you can then buy a warehouse, buy more trucks, buy AI workers, and they'll go out into the world and do jobs for you as well, and then you basically make more and more money. So I think that's one of the starting aspects, but I don't think necessarily players should only be limited to starting out as a truck driver. I think that could be an issue.
I mean, like I like the idea of that suddenly, like getting your first warehouse, or like you've been working for ages, driving around making goods, and you've started your company, you get your first warehouse, and you finally get out the van or get out the truck and walk into this warehouse, open it up to see this huge empty thing that you need to fill with goods and need to start your business. That is super cool. That sounds pretty exciting.
He'd absolutely
I think the start should be you choose whether you want to start as like you want to start with a warehouse and workers, but you start with like you've had to take out a loan, so you already owe money, right? Or you can work your way up to do that using the trucks. I do think that you should be able to. I know old Ace wasn't too happy about it, but with AI, like in Farming Sim, where you get them to do little jobs, so you're sitting in a baler, you're like, I don't want to do this, I have other things I need to do. So you hire an AI to do that job for you. You pay him a rate, and then once that job's done, they go home. Well, they just despawn, but they go home.
I feel like that has to be in there, right?
I feel like it has to be in there.
Ace, like automation is the reward for like in Satisfactory or Minecraft or anything like that.
I mean, I'm just thinking, right? We've got a huge bunch of people playing Euro Truck right now. We've got a huge bunch of people playing Flight Sim. We've got a huge bunch of people playing Train Sim, and a load of people playing TTD, right? If we are combining everything, we're getting the player bases from all of these games. We could just have every person in the game be a real person.
You theoretically could, but I think there's a certain charm because people who especially like management games like myself love the side of hiring AIs. So what you do is you hire the AIs, but you don't necessarily pay them a wage. Well, no, sorry, you do pay them a wage. I'm just so used to having people do stuff for free to me. So you pay them a wage, but also AI workers aren't the most efficient. So if they're working in a factory, they're not going to be as efficient as hiring a player to do that job. So you'd pay the player the same rate, but a player can probably work, say, twice as fast as an AI. But what you can do later down the line with big enough companies, you can hire, say, AI branch managers and AI team leaders to just shout and whip your other AI workers into kind of like of a faster work frenzy.
Train the AI up so they have to be paid. Like in so this would be more like Planet Coaster and 2 Point Hospital, where the more you train them up, the higher their pay grade is. So
exactly.
they become more. So they'll be able to do things at a faster rate, but at that cost is that you have to pay them more.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it.
I guess you could. This is going to sound like a weird link, right? Yeah. But in Escape from Tarkov, there's AI. No, this is. I'm not taking elements from this, but there's the AI scavs, right? That run around the map. They're just bots running around trying to kill players. If you jump into a scav run, then you become one of the AI, right? I guess players could just become one of these AI workers.
Have you tried to turn this truck game into a roguelike?
No. I'm thinking that if you've got your business and you've got, say, 50 workers, right? If you want to play as a trucker, then you just take the role of one of these AI workers for the time being.
Yeah, I still think you could do that whenever. You can still jump in and do a job. Say if it's you're like, okay, this has to be here on time. I don't trust my AI because they have to make certain stops, right? Like, say they have to abide by the law. But you don't necessarily go, oh, I've been driving for 8 hours. I have to stop and rest. It's not air quotes 8 hours. It's actual 8 hours.
It's a 1-to-1 scale.
For 8 hours, you need to rest. But an AI would have to stop because they have to obey the law. But you could choose to not to. So I think you should be able to go off and do any job you want. But you can also hire and tell AI not to do stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the way it should be done, because like your character, the more they do one thing, they like level up. So the more you do truck driving, the better stamina you have at truck driving. You can drive trucks slightly faster. So even though an AI worker will get the job done, if it's like a level 1 truck driver and you're like a level 72 truck driver, you can just, I don't know, almost possess his body no matter where he is.
Yeah, like driver San Francisco.
You could do that in farming sim. So I think that does work.
Yeah. And that's the way you get real players to like join your company, I suppose, as well.
You could merge.
Is that where espionage can come in?
Oh yeah.
There definitely needs to be corporate espionage as well.
Okay, so, like, now what if every AI you hire has, like, say at the very beginning you hire this one guy, you know this guy's name, he's like a level 1 truck driver AI guy, right? The more you use him, the more he levels up, and you know Mick is going to deliver your stuff, right? And the more he works for your company, the less likely that he is going to be taken over by another company's employee, right? Whereas new, fresh blood employees, you're thinking like, maybe another player from another company could jump in. And I've actually hired this espionage thing where he then drives off and plows your stuff into the ocean.
Players can disguise themselves as AI on like the hiring boards. And so for the bigger companies with like massive, huge chains of supply, they don't even notice that a couple of their trucks are going missing because they're so big. So that gives smaller players the
hiring list.
Yeah, so smaller players.
Yeah, the hiring list of like Mick Jones, Davey Jones, they're brothers, and then
the Jones brothers,
Big Dick 69. Hang on a minute. I think Big Dick 69 might be a real player.
So now it's got like an Assassin's Creed Brotherhood multiplayer.
Oh, Jesus.
Just trying to disguise yourself as an AI.
Sort of, yeah.
No, that sounds pretty good. Like being able to actually disguise yourself, but then also, you might get players who are completely who aren't interested in espionage. They just want the experience of driving around and doing that job. They just want the Euro Truck Simulator experience.
But imagine that. Right? But then, like, you get an email from like a player, and he's like, "I've been trying to get into this company. I've been trying to infiltrate this company. I will give you 1 million in-game credits." If you can get me the password for the logs. He's like, you'll be set up, you can start your own thing. But like, that's how I think it should be done, is where people build these empires and there is a hierarchy of real human people beneath them. But, you know, people can be bought out. And like,
yeah.
I mean, also those big company espionage is where it shouldn't be like low-level espionage. It should be like end game. No, there isn't an end game, but it should be something you work towards to be able to do. Right, because you have to pay people off. You have to, you know, even like the police. Right, if you get caught, there could be maybe that's another fucking faction.
I mean,
right?
that's the thing, right? Like,
100%.
if espionage is, it's meant to be hidden at all times, right? Like, if you drive a truck into the ocean and that's the end of it, then it's obvious, right? Then it's obviously the other company has mess you up by sending another player.
Yeah, insurance fraud 100% needs to be there, because that is actually a thing in Euro Truck Simulator 2 multiplayer. Like in ES2 multiplayer, what you do is you basically park your truck in an awkward spot, and if another player drives into you, they get charged for it, and you're off scot-free. That's that player's fault for crashing into you.
Oh my god!
So you can just park yourself in really awkward spots. In fact, there used to be a glitch where in the cities there was basically there was areas where trucks could drive through each other because there was just so much traffic, so the game had to have it. But there would be a very hard cutoff point where trucks went from being not solid to solid. And if you parked your truck across the halfway line and another player drove through you, they'd get flung out of the bottom of the world because they'd become solid, materialize into you, and just get dragged out of the universe.
And then mega charged as well for crashing into you.
And yeah, then they'd get charged like 10 grand for having to get their truck repaired from literal hell. The AA would have to drive down there and go save them.
That's a lot of money as well for the AA to go down to hell to pick you up. It's not cheap.
It's not
very far.
I'd ask for more, to be honest.
Alistair has a look of confusion on his face. Which
I was going to say, Alistair, with espionage, that's a bit EVE Online-y. Are you? How are you feeling about this now?
I was more interested in taking a part in the insurance company. Can you?
You want to be faction insurance faction?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a DLC. It's like it's like the vampires in Skyrim, but you're insurance brokers.
Just go and suck money from people.
Yeah.
How is that working in your head, Alistair? What do you?
Working is not a word I would use. There's a lot in there to unpack.
Yeah.
I think, it's a big idea that I'd be tempted to leave to the professionals.
So are you more into like what out of this so far is kind of exciting you in terms of the economy management side of it, the truck driving side of it?
I think managing.
Or is there any
resource management would be a more higher level resource management part of it. I think driving the truck, I don't think is the fun bit.
Well, it's fun for the tens of thousands of people still playing Euro Truck Sim, right?
Euro Trucks, yeah.
Yeah. I think you're better that high level, having that kind of global domination approach, the kind of Jeff Bezos simulator.
Okay.
Jeff Bezos simulator. So that's what you would want to create Amazon, basically.
It's just like you want a massive distribution, like huge.
But is that basically the final aim of this game? Is that what you're trying to achieve, Tom?
Or become Amazon?
I would say the aim can be theoretically whatever a player wants. If a player, if you're a useful Euro Truck Simulator player and you just want to get the best truck in the game and decorate it, and just you want to do that just to relax for a couple of hours each day, then that's fine. You can do that. You don't need to set up your own company, or if you do, you keep it really small. If you want to go for massive global domination, I'm the biggest company, I make the most money, then you can 100% do that. But I think there should also be repercussions for trying to go for something that challenging. That you kind of do have a big target painted on the back of you. I think there should also be benefits of being up there. I think if you're the most powerful company, you should be able to have almost some kind of influence over the laws which actually get put into place in that country. So maybe, because of course it's the UK, I'm not saying that we have a bribable government, but I'm just saying, if you're Jeff Bezos, you could probably change a couple of traffic laws. You could probably turn a couple of 30s into 60s if you really wanted.
Actually, this is a important question because I guess most simulator games like Euro Truck Sim and all these other ones, they have like a persistent online multiplayer, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So what was the other one? Open Transport Tycoon. That's like a 2-hour game, right? Yes. And then you stop the game, you restart it, and it starts from, there's an end point. Is this game, are you imagining it like a consistent, persistent online game where UK is like it is and this server has this company, or is it a game that you can start and finish in like a playthrough?
So this is the thing. I think even though I know this is a big ask, I think it should technically be both. I think there should be one effectively turbo version of the game, where you can sit down with a couple of mates, and over the course of 8 hours or whatever, and you can save the game or whatever, one of you can go from 0 to hit like maximum, and that's it. That's the fun challenge. So it's open TTD with more company interaction, I guess. But then there should also be a larger but slower, effectively realistic server experience, and I think the server should aim to go maybe not last forever like Eve. I think that's a bit of an issue because after a while it just gets a bit too samey and
financial year cycles.
Yes, each quarter. No. Actually, each financial year would be good, but there should be a quarterly report.
That's a good idea.
And whoever's in the lead in each quarter gets a nice bonus or something. I don't know.
Okay.
So in my head, at a high level of it, I think there should be different styles for different people who like how they want to play it. So if you want to do the company aspect, I think it should look like open TTT style, where you plot out routes, but instead of like placing like trucks and bus depots, you go, okay, I own these factories. I need to get some stuff here. I need to get some stuff brought in. There's an airport over there. I need to bring it all from here. But I think you should do it where you request jobs. So you go, okay, so I've got a job that needs to go from here to here. So I put up on the virtual bulletin board, and then a player who is doing the truck thing or doing the plane thing, they can be like, oh, I'll take that, and then you can pay them for their job, right? So there's two ways of sort of playing the game. There's the higher level, and there's the thing. It doesn't mean you can't dip into both, but obviously if you spend time doing another, you can't add jobs because you're driving.
So
you can't drive
that. Yeah, like that I think like taps into maybe a little bit the problem that I was having, which feels a little bit like the idea that you can kind of build your own company and become a huge millionaire and like oversee this entire chain of events and things, but then also if you want to, you can just go and play Euro Truck Simulator or Flight Sim or whatever. Is like in those games like Euro Truck Simulator, that's quite. I haven't played Euro Truck Simulator, but I'm guessing the reason it's quite fulfilling is because that's the game. It's very focused. It's like you have one location to go to. You're driving around, and that's it. It's quite relaxing. But in this context, is it kind of a bit of the equivalent of here's a cup and ball to play with if you want? But because there's no like just in the grander context of it, it's a very small thing to do. There's no like win state for these people who are doing that. Do they need something a bit more?
It's complicated with Euro Truck Simulator because it is a very, very, very good nothing game. It's a game which, if you play for 10 minutes and 30 minutes, you're going to hate. But if you stick around for like a couple of hours and then play the multiplayer, that was when I fell in love with the game. The moment when the game went from being a decent, fun trucking game to this is one of the most beautiful games I've ever played, I know, was when I went onto multiplayer, and then I opened up a radio station, and there's a radio called Euro Trucker FM, okay? It is an entire fan-run radio station, which is run by like 4 people who take song requests and they play it, and all the people in the trucking game can hear it, and they'll even do traffic call-outs. They'll be like, oh yeah, on server 1 there's a bit of a build-up of traffic just over at the Calais terminal.
Oh my god,
you might want to
I had
avoid
no
it
idea
and
that this was
take the train instead. It's incredible. It's absolutely amazing, and I want a kind of beautiful community experience with something like that, I think.
Okay, so
that's why the game's good.
I have another idea regarding, because you were saying what makes people want to play certain things and certain aspects of it. Well, obviously, like what really gives games replayability and like retention is competitiveness, right? So obviously, I think every company would be on a global economic leaderboard, right? So you'd be like, okay, you're number one. You've made the most gross profit this year. Your turnover this year was the best. You'll get rewarded somehow going into the next financial year. But I also think that the bosses and the drivers, let's just put them into those two categories for now. They should have ratings like Uber, right? So you rate the passenger and you rate the driver. So some drivers, so people who run early new companies aren't going to be able to afford higher star rated drivers. right? Who might be always on time, so they always get their high rating. So, but they're more expensive.
They know the best routes as well.
And they know, the drivers can basically just stop like review bombing of people you don't like. The employer gets rated as well to say like they were fair, they paid me a good amount, yada yada, they allowed me to have a break, anything like that, right? Should be taken into account. And then you get this system of I'm low rating, therefore I get paid less, and I earn my way through those ranks to earn more and more. And then same with the business side of it. But your ultimate goal is to hopefully get these good drivers on and get these reliable drivers who maybe then can contract to you, therefore you pay them more, but they're always ready to go whenever you need them or whatever, however you want to do the system. But then you also have to be worried that because you're doing the business side of things, you don't want to spend too much money. You don't want your outgoings to just go up because you need to bring in more to get up the leaderboard.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So there's like double competition.
Just so I want to just microscope it a little bit and just focus in on what this game is right now. Okay, so the overworld part of it is you begin with, say, a small tiny little factory, right? Or a small little truck depot. And this is you running the company, and you are looking around and thinking, okay, I can sell this thing to this place, this thing to this place, this thing to this place, whatever, to get the best profit on trade and things like that. There's supply and demand and things like that. You've also got to hire truckers to send off. And I guess the best companies will be the ones that pick the right places, the shortest routes that get the most money, the longest routes that get even more money. And sometimes there's routes that are duds, right? That will give you less money, or you could have spent that money elsewhere to get better return, right? Then you're also hiring truckers with a star rating, so they're guaranteed to be better or worse. The star rating is what you give them when you hire them after they complete a job. They also review you. Eventually you build up more and more money because you're spending the money in the right way by getting the right trucks, the right routes, the right trade. And then you're expanding yourself. The truck sim aspect is you're just taking these jobs, right? Until eventually, I guess, one path out of the truck sim path is to buy your own truck depot, right? And then you begin in that grand scale thing. Now, I want to jump into expansion.
Before you say that, before you jump into expansion, just a quick note on what you said at the start. I think what should happen is at the start, if you're going to the business side of things, as soon as you open the game and you haven't even started, but you haven't plonked your first factory, you choose the starting resource you want to sell. Right? There's a global economy, so you can see the rates for things, because that means if everyone chooses it, the demand for that goes down, that dips.
Well,
so people stop.
I think
so you go,
that
okay,
depends.
I want to start with wood, right? So that's your resource to start, and then you can branch out.
I think that only depends if you choose that you're a factory that is producing these things, then you're hiring the truck depots, which is a separate path that people can take to then send all these things out, right?
But the depots need to choose what they want to hold as well, because certain things require certain storage, right? So you could say, oh, I want to be the guy who ships chemical waste to the waste disposal place. But if I want to hold that, I have to have a bespoke place. So I'm limiting myself to that. It's worth more, but I can't pick and choose what jobs I take. I can only take that. If you have a generic warehouse, you could say, okay, I can take a job for some cereal. I can take a job for some toilet paper. I can store those and then stockpile and then sell them to the highest bidder. So you could do it that way.
Okay.
As well.
And then we can have fishing sim for fish people who want to trade fish.
So at this point, Tom, how is this sounding to you versus your original idea? I know that the scope might not be quite as large.
I love it. I feel like we've got the scope, we've got everything. It's perfect. I genuinely think we've got the game here. How much is it going to cost me to get the Yogscast to pay for it?
Well,
Chris is making it right now, right? Is that what you're doing?
That's what I've been doing below the camera the whole time.
It's great. It's ready to go. There's the link
it's ready
in the
now, is
description.
it? It's ready?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I've just got to hang on. /add online. There you go. Yeah, done.
Oh, you did it. Oh.
Did it.
I mean, it's mostly a Unity asset flip, but it'll do. It'll do until the DLC comes.
Yeah, well, now that you've made the game, I want to talk about the expansion, and that's when we bring in Flight Sim. And when Flight Sim is introduced, like Flight Sim, it's not just Flight Sim, because everyone's thinking like, oh, I don't want to do the flying. Well, you have to buy Flight Sim to unlock other countries. And that's when you can start. That's when you can start trucking in other countries.
So people based in America are in America, and they go, "Oh, I need to get. I really miss dairy milk. I want to import it. So then you have to also have certain taxes and
you
stuff.
Import it from UK servers.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It is a global economy.
We can have like world ports, which are basically like server hubs from cross servers, and you just ship goods there, and then someone picks it up and ships it to the place where it wants to go.
But there's also customs.
That could be a whole other job, where you're just managing that.
Oh, that'd be great.
But I mean, there is one slight problem though. What if nobody buys it in a country?
Well,
like no one in Madagascar buys it.
Sponsored by NordVPN.
Good point.
No one in China are they?
What you need to do is basically underpinning everything. There needs to be an AI option. The AI option needs to be almost the second choice. So when it comes to, say, putting up a contract to, I need a truck driver to move 2 kilos of furniture from this point to this point, it needs to be up there. And if the players see it and the players don't think it's worth their time or money, or they don't like the job, then eventually it gets picked up by an AI.
Yeah,
there should be AI businesses as well, which negates the thing about if someone doesn't buy it in a region. Who always have like competitive prices. So they're always the mid option.
The AIs basically need to be trying to fill the market roughly to where it needs to be. So if there is like a huge demand for toilet paper, they're not going to be the fastest to up the production of toilet paper and sell it.
But they'll get there.
They'll get there, and it will basically push them towards the direction of, I need to start selling more of this because it's a more valuable product.
Yeah, I think when you make an account as well, this sounds anti-consumer friendly. I think to try and bypass NordVPN, you just pick your location, right? Or the game just says, oh, you're in the US right now? You're in the US, and you are just locked to the US, right? Yeah. Because I don't know how to block VPNs other than just saying you cannot go outside of this country. But I love the idea that in the US, you've got this flourishing business, everything's going well, and you know that the only export that you can get is from UK. But in the UK servers, there's this company that is, massive. It's got the monopoly on this particular resource, and it's selling it at an extremely ludicrous rate.
Inflated rate.
But you have no control over that because it's in the UK.
Yeah.
So there's a subreddit, right? And people just spamming it of someone stop this guy.
Why is Yorkshire Gold so expensive?
There also needs to be there needs to be national things also going on, say you can be a US player, but then suddenly an event happens where tariffs have gone up, and suddenly the rare earth minerals which are importing from Australia and the Australian server suddenly cost a bunch more to get. So you're basically having to cut costs, so you're not paying your drivers as much.
Oh my God.
So suddenly the supply chain is flipped on its head, and all of the rare earth mineral drivers sell all of their rare earth mineral storage containers and instead buy a bunch of wheat containers and switch to becoming wheat truck drivers.
The thing is, though, eventually there'd need to be an expansion because at the moment, all the countries are separated, right? Eventually we can expand that even further, where we actually build Government Simulator.
And then
we added the game Democracy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think I've seen Ace so excited over an idea before.
Well, I just love the idea.
Okay, Ace, I've got a future idea. Okay, even better.
Yeah.
20 years down the line, the final penultimate DLC, we add in space travel.
Yes.
Suddenly, you've got it. You've got companies mining the moon.
I mean, this is basically now EVE Online. How you described the market balance a minute ago is exactly how the market works.
Yeah, it's EVE Online, not in space.
Yeah.
Well, it's EVE Online.
So it's taking that and adding more elements to it.
It's taking that and just making spaceships trucks, which sounds really boring, but I assure you,
the thing is, it's really boring, but it'll do better than EVE Online in the same way Hoi 4 does better than Stellaris in Paradox's books, because people like the world map and they like their place on the world map. In a space simulator, it's hard to work out where you are, who everything is, because it's all foreign names and so on. But if you are playing on a world map and you literally can start in your hometown, you are immediately invested in the economy and stability of that area. And you feel like you have a direct impact rather than a place which you can't even pronounce the name of in space. So that's why I think you can easily bait people into the game because they know their surroundings.
Tom, now imagine being Kent's biggest toilet paper export. Imagine having that as your title. But then also imagine, I'm the Andromeda Galaxy's biggest Blorgans exporter.
Yeah, but
no one knows what that is.
Yeah, who cares
knows where toilet is and what toilet paper is.
We know these things. We know what toilet paper is. We know what tea is. We know what drinks are. But we don't care what AI chips are in space. That's boring.
Android brains, like, they sound expensive, but I don't know how much they are.
Android phones, actually, talking about expense, that leads me on to another question. What is the kind of, if it is like the financial year, if it does reboot and it goes in that cycle, what is the kind of the win state for these different companies? Because obviously, like, someone who is dealing in tech is always going to make more money as a company than someone who is dealing in like timber or something. So it can't just be the amount of money your company is making, right? Is it individual rankings for, like, you're the top of the timber industry? It would have to be
individual rankings, but you could put costs into these things. If they're top of tech, well, tech companies have a huge overhead in R&D. So maybe that's like one of the expenditures that you can't avoid. You have to do that. It doesn't go anywhere because we're not now starting some sort of R&D expansion. No, Hazel.
Are we not?
But like each thing could have its own pro and con. So that's something you have to balance, right? So if you then have a bad sales month, that could cost you billions. But it's not going to cost you billions if timber doesn't sell for a week. It might do. I don't know how lucrative the wood industry is.
So you're just saying it's riskier with, like, more expensive businesses. There's more risk involved, and that will bounce naturally.
I think your business can also be judged by stability as well, right? Like if suddenly no one's buying your export, then for like 3 months, then your company is going to be in the shitter. If you end on the highest, but you had just a garbage month, then I think you should be judged for that as well.
I feel like that's a better metric. Sorry, Tom.
Sounds like a graph.
The metric is right. I think it should be a case of there are goods which are cheaper, but of course they're more stable goods. And so a good like wood is so cheap because so many people do it, because it's so safe, as it's always got a stable demand. Whereas a good like, say, electronics, we can basically tie in an event system so that, sure, you had a great month selling electronics, but now, thanks to an uncontrollable event, people think 5G melts brains, and so no one's buying your phones anymore.
Exactly.
And so the supply and all of the supply chain for that is affected consequently. So the people who are harvesting the rare earth minerals, which are more expensive than standard iron ore, suddenly they're not really getting as much sold. So it affects all of the big, complicated, spooky supply chains. But I don't necessarily think it should just be who has the most money. I think maybe it also needs to be almost like maybe a customer satisfaction, a prestige thing, something like that.
It'd be an average score based on multiple. Alistair, how would you do it? There you go. That's what I'll ask.
Oh yeah, the systems boy.
The back end boy, is what I call him.
It shouldn't just be money, right? The amount of money that a company makes. It should be more than that. How is it done in Eve?
How much money you have. Well, no, you have corporation members. Members pay tax into the corporation, so you can do it by like your basically GDP of your organization.
But then again, just in case, is that affected by just like? I mean, I don't. To be honest, I don't really understand how that is. Is that then affected by like? Is that still going to make it so that the big tech companies are just going to be high on the leaderboards versus small little timber board like Ace from Kent selling loo roll? Ace's loo roll from Kent. Is he always going to be bottom of the?
Well, yeah, because you're never going to have that company is never going to be, unless the demand for that product is going to increase, right? So you're basically talking about
I mean, everyone needs lure.
Yeah.
But you've also got to remember the more assets you have, the more overhead you have. So as soon as something
that's
stops,
what I mean. Like, so should the metric be stability?
I think that should be a factor. It might be like a multiplier. So if you multiply it by fluctuations in sales and like profit and loss.
I mean, you're basically looking at how successful is a company. Basically,
we really need an accountant. Is what
you have an accountant.
And that's what the other simulator is. Well, thank you for coming to our business school. Hey, Spiff, Tom, sorry. You mentioned space was the penultimate. Can I guess what the final expansion is?
I feel like the final expansion should be like the ascension of the human race, going full mind over matter or syncretic evolution, something like that.
Wait, so the final expansion is you're paying for the end of the game?
No, I've got it. Even better. Final expansion is that there's a uncontrollable world invasion coming from like an intergalactic threat. Okay, like I don't know the Hive or whatever. The flood from Halo. Trucks. No. Their one weakness isn't trucks, but the entire supply chain of the world has to work together to build the military-industrial complex to fight them off.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that the final expansion is, you've got the US server yelling at the UK server to take down its monopoly. The Australian server is selling this iron ore for way too high. All of this friction that is happening in the community. And then the final expansion is where you just say, all right, you guys, go to war then.
Oh god, player wars have independent mercenary companies. Oh my god.
Because we've already got the politics simulator, right? And then we're saying, all right, now we can allow it that they all just start fighting. The entire production chains of all these countries then change completely. You're building guns, you're building tanks.
While some countries would work together, there would be some countries with vested hate for each other. Like if you're the toilet paper producer of Kent, but the toilet paper producer of Middlesex has been screwing you over for the last 50 years in game, suddenly you're going to see the war with the US as a pretty decent opportunity to start stabbing some people in the back.
Exactly. We may have gone off track slightly.
I feel like with every expansion Ace is adding, we're not expanding on mechanics. There are existing mechanics. We're just adding games.
Every expansion is a feature creep that wasn't probably needed.
No, I don't think so. I think it's expanding on the core mechanic of the game, which is the OpenTTD truck sim.
I think working together is a good one. It's like, hey, this game's been out for 8 years. We're going to wind down now. So for the last big expansion, we all have to work together to stop this thing. Not let's turn this into some sort of war game where it's now Hearts of Iron.
No. But, okay, so at this point, who feels comfortable to outline the game that we have?
It's Hasbro's Monopoly Global Domination. That is the title. You have to include Hasbro's because otherwise they'll.
It starts as basically truck sim. You buy a depot and then it becomes OpenTTD. And then once people have gotten bored of that entire game where you're, building new factories across the country, we then introduce airport sim, or whatever that's called, flight sim, which then unlocks other countries who are gate-kept from each other. They're just communicating over Discord and stuff like that, and just like, hey, lower your prices, stop it.
I love the idea that until the expansion comes, the servers haven't been able to interact with each other at all, and then they just suddenly open up.
That would be mind blowing.
What's west of it? What's west of this country? Nobody knows.
We don't know.
West of Westeros,
the East Indies.
And then after that, once the countries have started communicating a lot, and we're like, okay, we need people to come in and start controlling this politics simulator, government simulator, right? Then after that, global politics simulator. Then after that, people can go to space, I think. And then after that, they then go to war. They have an option to go to war.
Space first and then war at the end.
They go to war in space.
Could we leave it before? Could the game end before the space stuff happens? I feel like that might be a bit too much.
Oh, I see.
To happen in a financial year.
I'm really going to throw a spanner in the works.
Okay, go for it.
Sorry, I know it's near the end of the podcast, and you're all going to hate me for doing this.
It is, Chris. But don't do anything big.
I really thought instead of doing all that crazy shit, what if it's OpenTTD but like Civ. So you start caveman, end up space.
Oh my god, what an incredible idea. Oh my god.
And that's the end. Bye, everyone.
We've done it. We'll see you for part 2 next week, ladies and gentlemen.
Because then you could, but it would have to be single player. But then you could discover. It was when you shouted out the indies. You could discover America, and then you got new trade routes, and you could. You'd be on galleon.
But is that not basically what we were kind of doing with this anyway? It's just that you're then like you can have more agency, like you're going into the trucks and driving around and stuff. Isn't this basically what that is? Like you are basically playing. It's that kind of game. Oh my god!
Through time,
okay,
like you literally start as a caveman moving berries from the berry farm to the berry hut to feed the village.
I've got to carry these berries. I need to invent the wheel, and then he invents, and then he can carry more in his cart.
And then there are like some civilizations. You could be the first person to invent the wheel, and then suddenly you've monopolized the berry trade because you can move faster.
Yeah, it's like an RPG system as well. You do a couple jobs just walking stuff back and forth, and then you spec into the skill tree of wheel.
Maybe this
and
is
then you start driving up and down.
I'll compromise. This is the sequel.
Oh, this is okay. I agree.
Okay,
this has to
this
be
is
the sequel.
Monopoly 2 Electric Boogaloo.
It's the sequel, and we'll also bring Sid Meier's on board as well, even if he's alive or dead by this point. I'm not sure.
Will Wright, he's there.
Will Wright's there too.
Okay, that I think is acceptable. How are you feeling about this so far, Tom? Minus the Civ stuff, minus the sequel.
I love all of it. I love everything we've created, and I'm very excited for its release in 2027.
And then 2029, and then 2031, and then 2033 for every expansion as well.
For every expansion, and then finally in 2035, we wrap it up with the Civ DLC, with the full brand new Civ game, and that's it. We've done it.
Oh no, 2035 is every sim world at war.
Oh, that's a good point. Sorry, yeah, we'll say 2040 to add the Civ DLC. No, not Civ DLCs.
Every sim is a faction. You've got the farmers, you've got the truckers. You've got the flight sims.
And can we also do like
can
we also do like a Total War Warhammer 2 kind of thing where the Civ game can also reverse engineer into the original game and just like.
Dude, are you kidding? Of course we can.
Of course you fucking can.
Did we come up with a name for this?
Obviously.
Apart from Hasbro's Monopoly Global Domination?
Everything sim, world at war.
Everything sim. Spiffing Brit.
Honestly, life sim, ultimate life sim. Well, actually, no. Ultimate capitalist life sim. Yes, that's what people want. It's the answer to life, the universe, and everything. Drive trucks, make money. That's what people want.
Why Hasbro? Where's the Hasbro coming from? I don't understand that bit.
They own the word monopoly.
And we need to get we don't have a celebrity, so we just need to put Eddie Stobart's Global Domination.
Eddie Stobart's Global Domination. Okay, brilliant. Sure. Okay, so Eddie Stobart's Global Domination. Alistair, how you feeling about this one?
I'm just writing up the database spec now.
Okay, yeah. It's how long is this database spec going to be?
Graph. I've just added the first field.
He's just drawing a picture of himself hanging from a beam. Is this game possible to make? Can you see yourself playing one of the
It's a silly question. Stupid question.
One of the elements of it.
Come on,
like the espionage side, the financials, like the economy management side.
Economy management, spot on. Everything else, ridiculous.
All right. So we did go a little bit wild. I think for a long time there, it was me, Tom, and Alex talking about ideas, and we're not the game devs, okay? We were just blue sky thinking, okay? Now, what if it was Truck Sim OpenTTD?
Yeah. I mean,
that is essentially what we've got so far.
That's lovely.
Yeah, Tom, that's just on the baseline.
Oh no,
when that
forgetting
works,
all that.
You take it up.
But could you make that?
But the thing is that between us, everything that we've said, and I knew you said, would you play an aspect of it? We already all have. Like, Spiff's played Truck Sim. I've played Truck Sim. I've played Alistair's played Eve. You've played, whatever. You've played
everything.
But it's like we've all played the separate pieces. So I think there's something that would interest all of us. It's combining those things and making them interesting for other people that would be different.
But that's what I mean. If it was OpenTTD, AI workers, but some of the AI that you hire could be truckers in Truck Sim. Is that possible to make?
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
I would say so.
Given enough money and enough people and
Okay,
enough
now
time.
let's go a little bit further.
you can
Let's
make
go a little
anything.
further.
All right, we're getting somewhere now.
Now, if we go a little bit further, flight sim, if we add that into it, is that playable? They're transporting exports from
Planes are
country
just
to country.
trucks on a Z-axis. Like that's,
So
that's
yes,
it, right?
so you're saying yes, right? Now,
That's my new catchphrase.
Right, if I mortgage my house, okay, and you guys all mortgage yours, theoretically, let's make this game. I think it's possible.
Sorry, why?
Okay, I'm in. I'm going to go and contact my bank right now.
Go contact the bank.
Chris?
I was just seeing how far we can go
I
before
said,
you
yeah,
say
I
it's
liked
impossible
it.
to make.
But again, you can make anything if you throw enough money and time it. I mean, look at Star Citizen. That's never
That's
come
perfect.
out.
I've got infinite time and money.
But exactly, that's what we don't want. We don't want a Star Citizen, right?
Yeah, but we're not,
where it never
because
comes
we
out.
have constraints. We have the Earth. There's only a limited.
We have constraints. We've really practiced that in this.
Yeah, we're not doing a galaxy. We're doing Kent. Like there's a difference. We're not generating a planet.
Okay.
We're generating Kent.
So what
Chris,
you're saying is it's possible.
Anything's
That's
possible.
all I want to hear. Good.
Don't let your dreams be
We've done
dreams.
it. We've
Now,
done
will you
it.
play it, and will you specifically make it?
I would probably play the shit out of it. I mean, I love OpenTDD, and I really enjoy Euro Truck Simulator.
This is it. Right, you're now head project lead. I'll give you £10 in the post. Find some stuff and we'll do it.
I mean, that's double my rate, so that sounds great.
Holy shit, you've come well out of this. Tom, how about you? Sorry, Ace, not Tom.
I'd play it. I'd love the idea of just swapping jobs. If I was playing as just a drifter and I was just like, I just want to transport this export, sure, and I'll just fly it across from UK to America, sure, I'll play it. If I want to just say, I'll drive a truck, sure. I also feel like the management side of it could be really fun, and actively trying to combat other people like mega companies somehow, taking down the man.
Yeah.
I'd love to do that. I think it's totally possible to make.
Perfect. I love this.
That's the side of it for me. I think for the economy management side. I think I love the idea of it. In practice, I don't know if I would be as invested as I would be into the Euro Truck Sim side of it. I think I would really get into that side. So that would have to be robust enough for me.
I'd be awful at it. I'd be so bad at playing it. I'd build a company and crash it into the ground in like a day. But
I think that's part of the fun, though. That's part of the fun. And is it sad to say that I've unironically actually been planning this since about 2010, when the idea came into my mind? I think this is perfect.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
And now for £10 in the posts, Tom, to Chris, you can make that happen.
Dreams have come true, finally.
With Eddie
watch out.
Stobart's Global Domination.
2027, Eddie Stobart's Global Domination. Tom, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh man,
that was fantastic. Despite my initial idea of what your pitch might be, it ended up being the complete opposite direction. But I think all the better for it. Thank you so much for joining us, and
it's been a pleasure.
Alistair, thank you very much. And
also sorry.
The rest of us, me, Tom, and Chris, will see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my God.